Sean here, CEO of Talk2 and co-host of this podcast. We don't normally do this, but on some of the episodes moving forward, we're going to be introducing some ads before, during, and at the end of each episode. We promise we'll keep things short, but my company Talk2 has been saving veterinarians like you time every day. And I wanted to share some testimonials from our users. Listen to them or fast forward. We'll be sure to keep it brief.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Sean Wilkie, and along with my awesome co host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. Ivan, please kick us off.
Hey, I'm Ivan Zach, and I'm excited to introduce today's guest, Joe Chickerillo. Joe has spent the last 15 years helping bring various startups, SaaS companies to market, all with focus on automation, scalability, and efficiency. And the majority of the time has been in the dental world, helping dentists and DSOs alike to grow, automate, and scale operations. And for the last 2 years, bringing that experience into the veterinary space as well. He's got a pedigree for disruptive solutions and have centered around administrative workflows, including online booking, practice analytics, client communications, and digital marketing. He was born and raised on the south side of Chicago and currently lives in the suburbs with his wife and their 2-year-old Chihuahua Rocket. In his free time, Joe loves live music, muscle cars, traveling, the outdoors, and finding great food and cocktails, preferably at a neighborhood dive bar. Joe, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
So you are representing your startup that you're part of. Tell us all about it. I don't want to screw up the name. Chckvet, that how you read it? So let's talk about Chckvet.
Yeah, what's really funny is a lot of people think that it's named after me because of my last name being Chickerillo. It's not. It was originally called Checkup, and we switched it because of some confusion that was happening with two different companies, one that's in the veterinary space and one that's in, I don't remember what they were doing, but it was something off the wall. But we got a couple of inquiries about human medicine, and it was like, yeah, we don't want that. So now it's Chckvet by Checkup Inc., but it has nothing to do with my name.
All right. Well, tell us all about it. So what do you guys do? How long you've been out there? And what is your value proposition to the customers?
So Chckvet is a 5-in-1 platform directly integrated with all the major veterinary PIMs. Rolls 5 stitches under one roof, including the first and only fully automated online booking, practice analytics, two-way communications, reviews management, and a client portal. And there's a lot of stuff that comes with that, like online booking. There's also deposits you can enable with that. You can have digital forms that go out as part of that booking workflow. Two-way communications is everything from your medical and vaccine reminders to two-way texting to full-on marketing. There's also like the client portal has a loyalty program built in. So there's a lot of stuff that comes under those umbrellas, but really it sort of falls under those kind of highline topics. We've been around for about 3 years, 3.5 years, maybe coming up on 4 at this point. I've been involved with them for a little over 2. I think that the value prop overall, there's sort of 3 things depending on where you're coming from, right? Some people are already using some of these tools and are frustrated with one aspect or another that they wish those things could do. They want it to be more automated. They want it to be more customizable, something like that. So they're looking for an alternative. Others are looking for the ability to consolidate multiple tools together. So they're using something for online booking, something else for their texting and reminders, something else for their reviews, something else for analytics. And all of these things are, $200 to $500 a month. So they come to us and go, hey, can you do, and they'll list off a whole suite of services. The average client that we work with is already using 2 different things. A lot of them are using 3, and a handful are actually using 4 or 5. So we wind up saving hundreds of dollars a month for the exact same like services, but ours is more customizable and more automated in almost every case I've ever seen. And then there's a third kind of aspect, which is typically more with the group practices where they're looking for more of that enterprise capability. We do have the ability to normalize data reporting and analytics and custom kind of reports across any number of practice management systems. So if you have a group that's, say, across 10 different disparate practice management systems, we can actually normalize the reporting across all of them and then give that same identical functionality so the user experience on the client side is identical no matter which one you go to. Does that make sense?
It sure does. And it's been a while since you've been on our show because I remember you were here probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago now. What's new since then? Like, where have you guys found your growth engine? what's exciting. Yeah, what's new and what's exciting that's right in front of you guys.
Yeah, it was about 2.5 years ago we were on. It wasn't me, but one of my co-founders. And man, at the time, we have expanded so much from what we were originally doing. Back in the day, when I joined on, we were basically doing online booking, and we had what we call a daily huddle dashboard. That's part of the analytics. The daily huddle is this really cool dashboard that is designed for the front desk and the office managers to look at every single day and go, all right, like, what did we do? How did we do yesterday? What can we do to be successful today? And how do we set ourselves up for success for tomorrow? Now, those are both excellent tools, but what we ran into was people that were like, oh, so if you're doing online booking, can you also, send out the confirmations? All right, so we added that capability. Well, if you're doing confirmations, can you do reminders? Sure, that's not hard. Well, if you're doing that, can you also do marketing? Hey, can you also do digital forms? Hey, can you also do this? So in the last, 2.5 years, we've just expanded from being kind of just an online booking tool to a kind of all-encompassing, it's every aspect of automating your front office. As far as where we found kind of our best sort of growth and exposure, it's really been a combination of things. I think the best way, which comes from other companies that I've worked with back in human dentistry, is really just getting in front of people. Our biggest challenge is just exposure, because when we get on a demo with an individual practice, our close rate is about 76.5%. So we win about 3 out of 4 conversations if we get into a demo conversation with somebody. And if it's a competitive conversation, like, hey, I'm using XYZ, I want to look at alternatives, the close rate actually goes a little higher than that. It's closer to about 80%, right? It's very close, but it's a little bit higher. So really our biggest challenge is just getting in front of people in the first place. So to directly answer the question, we've tried to get as many different like speaking engagements as we can. I'm putting together a CE course that I'm going to be presenting at Fetch. I don't know when this comes out, but Fetch DC coming up in about a month from now, and then at Wild West Vet. Different presentations that we'll do at various sort of CE conferences, or just sort of like study club, study group type things. Any place where people are going to learn how to do the business side of veterinary better is where we really shine.
So it's pretty crowded space, I would say. We did talk about the scribe, which has became very crowded, but then also the reminder, the appointment booking, it has been an add-on to a lot of PIMs. And then on top of it, a lot of PIMs started building these things in to become competitive and kind of have the same pitch and say, look, you can eliminate a bunch of tools because we have this. And in my previous startup, where we were replacing a whiteboard in a practice management system, we also started with just one concept that was very targeted. And then on top of that, we started adding features which our customers asked for and liked. But then we would go to other customers that have a PIMS that has that feature. So very quickly, especially through integrations, you become competitive to not the whole product, but couple features in another software. So that became so difficult to navigate and to articulate value proposition to different clinics that use different PIMs. How do you, and this is a huge question that is probably difficult to answer on a podcast, but how do you navigate around what next to develop and how to understand that it's not going to compete with features in, you want to do it for this particular PIMS, but then as you go to your other customers, it's going to compete with features in another integration?
If you're like most vets, you probably spend way too much time at the end of your day writing up your records when you could be at home, relaxing, or spending time with your friends or family. At Talkatoo, our mission is simple: to give veterinarians time back in their day. But don't just take my word for it. Listen to what Dr. Latovsky had to say about Talkatoo and how it's changed the way that he works.
My name is Dr. Maxim Latovsky. The name of my clinic is Arc Life Veterinary. Aside from the very obvious, I'm saving hours upon hours of writing records on the computer. I would highly, highly recommend Talkatoo. It has honestly been a game changer for me.
Get full access to all of Talkatoo's powerful features for your first month for just $1. Sign up today at talkatoo.com/VIP. That's Talkatoo, TALKATOO.com/VIP.
So I feel like that's sort of a two-part question. I'll start off by saying that our functionality across all 10 practice management systems we integrate with is identical. If you're using one or you're using the other, you get the exact same functionality. There's very, very minor differences. Like, for instance, in some practice management systems, it will allow you to update certain information directly in like a form directly into the client record, where other ones we have to attach it as a PDF, but it's all still going there, right? Like, it's all gets written in. It's just a matter of like This one does it very slightly differently than that one. Same thing with like calculating certain stats when our reporting, like fill rate is calculated very differently from one practice management system to another. But overall, the functionality is identical, and anybody that's using any system, practice management system, is able to use as much or as little of our platform as they want. Now, when it comes to the practice management systems that have some of these things built in, I mean, yeah, a lot of them have individual pieces of this, and some of them have a lot of those pieces. But the reality is that their core business is being a practice management system, right? They're never going to have enough sort of focus on building out these ancillary services because their core focus is making sure that the practice management system is the best one that can be in a very competitive space, right? So when you have somebody like us that's building only that ancillary service, it's almost always going to be better than whatever's built in automatically. Now, I'll give you an example. There's, without naming any names, there's like a practice management system that we really, really like working with, and they like us. And they have communications like reminders built in, but they don't have very strong customizability with those reminders. They're limited to using like only three, like a particular cadence, and it's the same cadence no matter what type of appointment, no matter what type of patient, and all that. And it's always three reminders. Where a practice might want to have a completely different cadence for one type of appointment versus another. Maybe a new client gets more communications than a returning one. Maybe they get digital forms with their onboarding, like with their initial welcome text, right? Maybe their high volume spay neuter clinics have a completely different scheduling methodology than a regular GP practice. So when this particular practice management system runs into situations where they can't handle that level of customizability, they'll actually introduce us into the sales conversation because it literally helps complete what they're doing for their clients. There's another practice management system you guys are probably familiar with that charges like 9 cents a text for every single communication that goes on. So we have a ton of people that come to us just looking to go, hey, can you do all of our texting? Because our platform is only $299 a month, and that's for everything, right? Can you do all of our texting? Because we'll save like $500-$600 a month if you're only doing that. And by the way, we also do all these other really great things like online booking and analytics and all that type of stuff. The other thing you had mentioned was the AI scribe thing and how do we sort of prioritize what we're building next. As far as AI scribes, as of right now, we have zero interest in building them. There's like a million of them out there, and there's a couple of really good ones, like Talkative, for instance. So we don't have any interest in building that because in the same way that a practice management system is never going to be as good at building these ancillary things, we're really good at the core business we have. We don't want to delve into something else that other people are already really good at. That's not really a good use of our time. But when it comes to prioritizing what comes next, honestly, everything comes down to what our clients are looking for. Every single feature that we have in the platform and everything we've built out since 3 years ago when we were on the same podcast has all been directly from feedback from our clients. There are certain ones that we'll look to for a little bit more guidance in one realm versus another. So for instance, like we have a group of 70 offices. They have very different needs for their analytics and their enterprise marketing from a top-down perspective, like syndicating that messaging, than a single office location that just wants an easier button to do a particular function that they do every day. So we'll sort of weigh like, okay, what percentage of our clients would benefit from one thing versus the other? What's the demand to look like and how easy is it to build? And that's sort of how we build out our product roadmap.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. And it resonates with me as a technical founder of a software company as well. I'm sure Ivan as well. Let's take the conversation in a bit of a different direction and, the AI direction. So, I've been involved in conversations really recently with companies that didn't enter your space, but now all of a sudden find themselves like solving some of the challenges using generative AI and voice to have a natural conversation with a robot that can schedule appointments or can, do reminders or do all kinds of other things. How do you see generative AI impacting your guys' business and your roadmap and helping you provide more value to your customers?
I think it's a very complementary service and notion. As an example, so really perfect example you just said, generative AI talking to somebody over the phone and using the rule sets to schedule appointments for them, right? Now, you could teach a generative AI model all of the same rules that we build in on the back end for online booking. So as an example, you always want a 2-hour buffer for same day appointments. We have one doctor that always gets 10 minutes longer than the other one because Dr. A is really chatty and Dr. B is really quick, right? Dr. C also moves back and forth between these 3 offices depending on the day of the week. And we never want to have like this type of an appointment next to this type of appointment within a certain buffer time. Now we build all that on the back end and you can do that like where it's fully automated and writes it into the system. That's what our system does. You could also teach a generative AI model to do that same thing over the phone. But I think it's a very complementary service, because the reason that we're so popular, or at least that the online booking component, and it's the same thing in human dentistry, and I think in every other industry, is that there's certain people that just don't want to talk on the phone. So you can have all those rules baked into an AI model that's talking to somebody, even if it sounds like it's not an AI robot talking. There is a segment of the population, and it's not an insignificant one, that has no interest in making that phone call to begin with. There is a literal competitive advantage to offering online booking for people like, you can tell I like to talk. My wife is one of those people that will not order a pizza if she has to call. She'll go download an app, fill out her credit card, create an account, and she'll spend 10 extra minutes to do it so that she can do it online. And that's a big portion of our population. We found that by enabling online booking, you can see your conversion from any marketing channel jump by somewhere between 35 and 70%. Now, in that same token, I think a generative AI model that's talking to somebody on the phone, if you train it right, well, AI never has a bad day, never makes a mistake when it's asking the questions or presenting, like answering a pricing question, right? Which sometimes can be sort of a hiccup for a front desk team, specifically if they're really overwhelmed or they're short staffed that day, or somebody's having it, like, you never have that problem. So I think the two of them are really complementary, but I don't think they compete in the way that a lot of people think that they compete. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I see so many of these solutions merging, eventually. Like it feels like AI, if we step back a step, has the opportunity to help in a much more broad context, and be part of the online experience as well. So just I guess my question is, how do you see your company navigating these changes, and how are you going to leverage AI to help your customers?
I think that remains to be seen for a number of reasons. For one, I think that this is completely a theory of my own, but having seen other new emerging technologies before, I think that right now there's this huge boon of AI technologies, and in like the next 2 years, you're going to see a lot of them peter out or get consolidated, and there will be, like, instead of 100 doing the exact same thing, there will be like 10 or 12, right? And those 10 or 12 will have differentiators that, okay, this one's really good at XYZ. This one over here, really good at this other thing that the first one doesn't really hit.
That's already happening in the AI scribe space. Like I'm having conversations with companies that are looking to find a way to realize value before they run out of money. It's already happened.
That's what I'm saying. So I think that that's going to be a portion of it, right? So what's left and what do they want to focus on? I think with us, with the one, okay, so a thing that we're pretty close to developing, we really haven't talked about this yet, but relative, meaning in the marketplace at all. You're the first ones hearing it, but the what do you call it? Enterprise reporting that we do, right? One of the things that we have is this really cool thing that we're calling data chat, which is basically you can type in a question and it will pull whatever type of a stat or report that you want out of your own data. It's accessing your own data in a much easier way. So instead of having a report that pulls, here's your, I don't know, let's say 15 stats that you want to look at every single day, you can type in, hey, what were my top five? Who are my top five lifetime value clients? How many appointments did we get booked online last quarter? And it'll just pull all that data for you. That's a thing that we're on the cusp of kind of rolling out. When it comes to the reminders and the online booking and like the loyalty program and the portal, I think some of those things, while I think generally speaking, everything can benefit from AI in a way, I think that AI might be overkill on some of those because it's kind of such a simple mechanic once you have the engine built that you don't necessarily need to add in AI. It might add a level of complexity that's just not required in certain aspects. But in other ones like the analytics, I think it's going to be a huge boom. You know what I mean?
It's interesting, the whole AI. I'm finding myself just recently, I watched the GPT-5 release, and then GPT-5 to do something, trying to pipe together an agent with something else to do, and then I just bump into the software that I already have that does all of that already integrated and ready to go. And I just find myself that you're on this treadmill now where you're trying, as a software startups, to innovate, but the infrastructure behind it, being AI, is innovating faster than the frame that you put on top of it. And it's just, as a user, I just feel like I'm outdated every single day in what I do. Like every time I find a new tool, it's like, God damn it, I've been optimizing that completely different way and it's all automated. So it's just a weird, weird world. And I'm not the guy with the flip phone. Like I use technology, and the more I use it, the more I'm surprised, like what the hell is coming next. So it's a wild world, and it's interesting to watch what's happening, but we ran out of time, as we usually do. It's been a very exciting conversation, Joe. And there's two questions that we ask at the end of each episode. Is there a YouTube video, a TED Talk, a book, anything that inspired you recently that you would like to recommend to our listeners?
Actually, yeah. And funny that we're talking about AI right now. There's a guy named Stuart Lacey who I saw at a dentistry conference out in Bermuda about a year ago. I believe he lives in Bermuda. And he's part of some new AI company now that he just got put in charge of. But he's done several TED Talks. I saw him do a keynote speech on AI, and it changed my perspective on AI at large. I had what I think a lot of people have is sort of this existential dread about the quote unquote threat of AI, where after listening to this guy talk for an hour and a half, I actually was more excited than I was scared of it. And I'd highly recommend anybody go look up his Stuart Lacey's TED Talks about AI. It was just a moment for me.
We'll check it out and we'll link it in the show notes. And then, Joe, the last question is another innovator from the veterinary field that you think we should have on the podcast.
So I met this guy at the Animal Health Nutrition Technology and Innovation Summit, I think it is. His name is Sean Akadiri, and he's got a company called Ag Boost, which is this really neat company. If you are a cattle farmer and you wanted to, like as of right now, the way that it works is essentially you have to wait until the calf is a certain age before you judge like its size, its strength, its ability to procreate, and all the different things that you care about as a cattle farmer, right? This essentially allows you to sequence their DNA at a very young age when they're still a calf and go, okay, here's the genetic markers that make it more likely to be a broader cow or a stronger bull or produce more milk as a cow, like all the different things that you care about as a farmer. It allows you to sequence all that in a database and basically go, okay, if I want to breed like a cow that does X, Y, and Z, it'll show you, okay, based on all the genetic data of your whole herd, here's the 2 cow and bull that you want to breed to get that result. I think it's super cool.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryinnovationpodcast.com. See you next week.
Thanks for sticking around to the end of the episode, and thanks for being here. As I mentioned earlier, Talkatoo has a special offer for listeners of this podcast. If you're curious about how it works, Talkatoo is a suite of AI tools that makes note-taking faster and easier. You can record your entire appointment and get a SOAP note within seconds, completely automatically. Just review and approve. That's all you need to do. We also help with call summaries, discharge instructions, and many, many more. All of these things are done within seconds. Get full access to all of Talkatoo's powerful features for your first month for just $1. Sign up today at talkatoo.com/VIP. That's Talkatoo, TALKATOO.com/VIP.